Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the Council of Future Conflict, episode 604. We're talking the Brown shooting and domestic dumpster fire, which it's kind of like all it's all a domestic dumpster fire. We're just getting specific about the Brown shooting in the first segment, and then we'll just kind of go like broad, deep and wide on domestic dumpster fire for the second segment. And okay. So today will be probably a shorter than average episode. Mr. Dolio, explain your situation right now.
Well, we are on our, 46 or so of no power. And my free trial of the Boog is about to expire, I hope. And I would give it a 4 of 10. I've enjoyed a lot of aspects of it, but it's wearing thin. So the lights could come back on.
Especially in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, I was expecting it only to be in the spring and summer during good weather.
Yes.
But we had 105-mile-an-hour winds, which is what took down my show and internet connection on Wednesday. They are working very, very hard to get here. There's still thousands of people without power. There were some videos that circulated around the internet yesterday of Montana 83, and that's actually the road I live on. And it looks like because we're in a mountain valley, the wind had nowhere to go, so it traveled in a straight line right down the highway, and it knocked over all of the trees onto the power lines. Here at Ponderosa, we lost probably 20 trees. And yesterday, Yogi and I spent the day with chainsaws and a front end loader going around and pushing all the trees off the road and cutting them up and getting them out of the way so we could at least get around on the roads. Crazy times.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of those pictures, Joe. I mean, like it wasn't until we just talked here before the show that I got the full story. But man, I tell you, the it looked pretty gnarly on the road, and those are not small trees either.
I'll tell you, right here on the property, I took a side-by-side around as the windstorm started, right? And I came around the corner right by the admin place, Watcher, right where you camped that time with the tent. And I come around that corner, I park and I go inside. And as soon as I get inside, we hear this loud crash and bang. And 5 trees fell over right where I had just passed through. And she was like, "Can you stop driving around?" I'm like, "No, because if a tree falls on something significant, we need to do something right away." So I had to be out dodging trees all day. Crazy.
Well, I mean, the good news is that firewood for days now, or in fact, more like firewood for months now. So you don't have to worry about which trees to cut down. Nature has done it for you.
And there are deer blinds now everywhere, so we're in a good spot.
Right. And Watcher, you've got a little wind episode in your neck of the woods as well, right?
Same one, same wind. Just was at my place a couple hours. Well, judging by the speed, actually, not very many hours before it was at Joe's.
So, what you had a little drama with your chicken coop, right?
Oh yeah, we had the Costco coop that I showed everybody that we made for as cheap as possible. We left it up after the meat birds were gone out of it just to see what the tarp roof would do over winter, even though the plan was never to let it just have a tarp roof. We were going to build a new roof on top of it. But the tarp roof split down the middle and then flattened things that were sitting next to it as it was flapping. And then we had our egg stand slide about 12 feet almost onto the highway. So that's fun.
Good Lord. Well, you showed some pictures. Do you mind sharing that video with the folks here? I think they'd be interested to kind of see how you're doing it and just get a little report back.
Although I will say it's always interesting sharing stuff like this because like legitimately, I'm not even joking yet. In fact, I'll show you. So we share this, and I'll let you watch the video. But check this out. The latest person to like it
Antifa MILF.
always a pleasure to make sure to let my physical location be known to these people.
Hey everybody, just wanted to show you what the old egg stand looks like. After the catastrophe yesterday, we reorganized, and now we're all stocked with all of our new products. Well, not all of them, just the stuff we currently have available. Oops, not tape rolls. That's not a product.
Hand docks.
I know.
Eggs, and chicken, candles, and hot honey, and vanilla extract, and
apple cider,
and good stuff. So,
heck yeah.
Very cool. I mean, so you got it. You're a little bit of an entrepreneur there, and you said no theft, no loss at all from theft yet. So that's good.
Yeah, like I said though, we got Antifa people liking the post, so we'll see.
Let's be honest. You live far enough out in the sticks where I don't think they're gonna.
They're everywhere, Scott. Like they're legitimately everywhere.
You know, I mean, there's some places they're more thick on the ground than others, and they're just, you only get one Antifa rep. You have one guaranteed Antifa rep per county, and he can only be so busy because
no man.
He also works at the last video store that's still open, talking about how great movies from the 70s are.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just I'll just let you know it's not an accurate mental model. Even in my small town of
that's right.
We'll just say a couple thousand. Yeah, we'll just say a couple thousand. I have seen probably at least a dozen individuals wearing Antifa pins.
Yeah, keep in mind that there was an attack in Iron Mountain, Michigan. So
I know, right? That's kind of what I was getting at. There's at least one designated Antifa rep in every county in America. Yes, I am the self-designated Antifa rep. Yeah, there may be more rural Antifa now than urban Antifa. Ours OD'd in the last 4 years. Yeah, well, fentanyl has been hard on the Antifa population, so there is that. All right. Gentlemen, let's get into the episode, shall we? Because I know we can't dawdle today. British. Okay, so file this under what does British schools have to do with me? Well, they can bring this to your kid's school if you're not paying attention. British teachers to spot misogyny in boys and target them for re-education. Re-education is one of those words that just makes my skin crawl when I hear it.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, there's no good version of re-education. Retraining, I'm okay with because that's like a military phrase, but re-education, nah. For years, UK officials turned a blind eye to rape gangs because it might look racist to crack down on foreigners. Now, suddenly, the real problem is young boys who are radicalized into becoming misogynists. The only solution is, of course, Orwellian. It includes agenda to re-educate British boys to showing signs of misogyny, anti-wokeness. According to the BBC, teachers will be given training to spot and tackle misogyny in the classroom, while high-risk pupils could be sent on behavior courses as part of the government's strategy to have violence against women and girls. The goal is to prevent the radicalization of young men by addressing misogyny earlier in order to prevent escalation into violence. Safeguarding Minister Jesse Phillips called violence against women and girls a national emergency.
If they could put their finger on when it was and what the triggering factor was to cause the increase of violence on women and girls in their country. If only there was one singular thing that's happened in the last 10 years that led to this.
Let's see what this video is down here towards the bottom, watcher. This is a this is the fantasy version of what misogyny looks like. Not that video. Keep going down. Yeah, this one.
My boss is over. There. I've got to go. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you later.
You alright? Where are you going then? Oi.
Go away, you're so immature.
Are you going to tell me or not?
Come on, man. Let's just go.
Oh, he's definitely showing signs of misogyny.
Where are you going? Wait, why don't you come over here?
Go away, just leave me alone.
Come on, I know you want a bit of this. Why didn't you come over here? Oi, I'm talking to
3
you.
minutes. You want to watch the whole thing?
No.
That's what I was thinking.
But the irony, Joe, what did you notice about all these guys? I mean, outside of they're British, of course.
They're not the ones actually doing the problem.
Exactly right.
We have to paint it that way, right? It's like when they made the documentary about the young boy killer there, and they made him white, and he's not white.
Right.
And here's the thing, though. It's actually relevant to the case because that's a risk factor, right? But we can't possibly say it because then we might be racist. But it is indeed a risk factor, and you ought to be teaching people that.
You know, in America, the problem that I saw is it's not to say that there wasn't some kind of there were some struggle sessions, I think, in some diversity trainings in corporate environments and things like that. But that stuff mostly didn't make it into public schools, right? The problem in public schools, though, was the kind of passive propaganda, like this, this kind of, not so much saying white people are bad, but just kind of like, oh, we're going to celebrate diversity. White people are fine, but we're going to celebrate diversity. You know what I mean? And so while that's way softer and it's less kind of like, well, it's harder to put my finger on, it's actually way worse, I think, in some ways, because it's that kind of like kids feel bad about who they are, but they can't figure out why they feel bad. It's not like they could blame that teacher who said that they were a misogynist. Well, I kind of wish they would call you a misogynist. That way you could just blame the teacher, hate that person, and not carry some kind of internalized guilt around, which is, let's be honest, exactly the reason why we've got the young men that we have today. Sorry, I'm a little, assed out on this.
No, don't be.
Yeah, it's actually openly anti-white or anti-European now, and that's wrong. If you're going to celebrate all cultures, celebrate all cultures.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Especially the one that civilized the entire world and ended barbarism.
And ended slavery.
And ended slavery. That's the thing. Every culture on this planet has practiced slavery in some form or another, and some still do. The Europeans did it for the shortest period of time and ended it in other places.
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately... Slavery changed in Europe into something different, but it was still kind of like, I guess you could call it oppressed working class people. But slavery pretty much kind of went the way of the dodo after the Roman Empire. But, then you had serfs and things like this and, like indentured servants and things like this, which were kind of slavery with more, with more rules. But you're right. I mean, the British the British were literally the only force in the world that not only ended slavery in their own country, but then went to other countries to actively end it as well, to include the African and Arab slave trade. And then American, so people kind of blame us, but let's be as charitable as possible about the Civil War, right? And that essentially it was the North, i.e. white men in the North, fighting to end slavery. Well, that's, I don't think, the case, but let's just be as charitable as possible to the argument and say it was a bunch of white men who died to end slavery, right? White men died to end slavery. I don't hear anybody in the 1619 Project talking about, the bucket loads of white men who died to end slavery in the Civil War.
Well, it's look at the lyrics to the Battle Hymn of the Republic that in the modern world have been changed. The original lyrics said, "Just as Christ died to make men holy, let us die to make them free."
Yeah.
In modern, they've translated it to "let us live to make them free," but that's not actually the lyrics. So, yes, you're right, but you can't remember that. That's racist.
Yeah, right. Exactly right, Joe. All right, Watcher, you
Oh.
want to finish us off on this one? Oh, we got the German part. Let's.
We do, and then I forgot. I have another odds and ends I have to toss in there. We'll get there. But yeah, so this just came out of this is leaking out again now, but this was back in 2020. German schools are left-wing propaganda camps. Here's leak audio from 2020. Teacher, it's shameful that there are people who will vote for this rabble, talking about the Alternative for Deutschland party. Student says, you have to have your own opinion. Teacher says, how many times do I have to say it? At some point, individual opinion and freedom of expression end. In the future, you'll keep your mouth shut when you're not asked a question. And goes on to berate them for another, minute or so.
Well,
so this video is in German, so it's not worth it to listen to the video. But let me just kind of go through and read the subtitles, because it's only like it's only a minute, so it's worth seeing. He says, "So we don't want this right wing brown filth here in our state. There's no other way to describe it, and one should be ashamed of that. There are people who will vote for this brown-shirted rabble." They're talking about the AFD and the AFD, but everyone is entitled to his own opinion. That has nothing to do with opinion. How often do I have to repeat it? Freedom has limits, my boy. Tell me, what did you actually get to do to get into the ninth grade class? If you still don't understand, that's adolescent behavior of the worst kind. Yes, but that's my opinion. At some point, so in quotation, that's my opinion. At some point of the freedom of expression change. If you walk down the King Street with a Kalashnikov or just start shooting into the shop windows, it makes you feel a little more relaxed. Then no longer falls under, let's see, I missed it. Freedom of expression. And in the future, you'll keep your mouth shut when you're not asked. I can't believe it. We are at a historically decisive point. We will remain a civilized, cultured constitutional state, or we will become a brown soup. Unbelievable! This is a fucking teacher in their in a public school.
I've said it before.
American teachers talk too. You're wrong. So,
listen, man. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We should have no truck with these people. We have, we have no connections to them anymore. They are not the nations that we were once allied with.
It's not just them, though. Yeah. It's literally everyone in the West, right? It's Western society as a whole. We have to figure out how to fix that, because our teachers say the same sort of things to our students.
Yeah,
true.
Phil Coggins for $10 says the people in the 1619 Project don't believe we fought the Civil War to end slavery. They are more like lost causers. Yeah. I just mean, like, for people who kind of say the traditional line that the Civil War was a war, by the North to end slavery, right? Which is kind of like what I was taught when I was in elementary school, right? Though growing up in the South, we also got the Southern side, which was the war of Northern aggression and states' rights and all that kind of stuff. At least that's a debatable kind of thing. The 1619 Project isn't even debatable. It's fairy tale fantasy land nonsense. Dirta for $10 says that's an endemic problem. The character of the German culture is collectivist. If they're all told to be kumbaya, they'll do that. If they're told to invade Russia again, they'll do it. Yeah, the interesting thing about the most individualistic people in Europe fled in the 19th century and came to America. These were all pauses, because I was waiting for the next bit of the translation to come ahead. So apologies.
Now, gents, I've got a brief comedy one that I just got to add in there. I don't know if you guys saw this, but boy, I don't even know if I can say this on YouTube. YouTube, listen, reviewer, remember, I am literally just reading a tweet. Nobody's calling anybody anything. We're just talking about a new weapon system.
Yeah,
Russian soldiers.
New. The faggot is not new.
Faggot ATGM to eliminate the queen of the battlefield, right, Joe?
This is literally the preferred weapon system of Melanie Mack.
There needs to be an edit, actually. There needs to be a Melanie Mack edit of this. There absolutely needs to
Watcher, this is your purpose in life today, outside of making breakfast for your child, is to make a clip of, and then you gotta tag her and get her to share it.
Get off my stream,
The new use of the faggot. Every once in a while, a faggot comes along that gets used differently.
You know what you should do, Watcher? You should do a voiceover talking about it like as if it were some sort of academic documentary about the ATGM in question, or the faggot.
Put her,
put her clip of her saying, every time.
So I have two things for this. Number one, and again, YouTube, we're talking about the Russian weapons system. Yes. You have to be really careful around the faggot because it will hit you from behind and you won't even know. But second, do you call somebody who is really good at this an expert at faggotry?
Maybe a faggotista?
That's some extra faggotry there.
It's not like we're not having enough fun here, gentlemen. But by pure accident, I found another thing that I want to share with you guys. I'm sorry.
Hold on, I have to address Gene Rogers. Gene Rogers, there are no faggots in Djibouti.
I don't know about that.
I'm talking about the weapons system. You guys get your mind out of the gutter.
I'm good to the same thing. I bet there are. I'm just saying. All right, guys. This is a little.
Maybe somebody slid one in there.
I just want to say that the Army was way ahead of the curve, and the Marines too. The Marines. I think this is actually the Marines showing their DEI chops back before DEI was cool. In 2007, during downtime at a U.S. military base in Iraq, a female Army soldier challenged any Marine to a boxing match in the ring. A male infantry Marine accepted. Let's watch the video. I love there's a soundtrack to her imminent downfall.
Now, kids.
The shitty nature of the audio guarantees we won't make properly start for this video, I think. Oh, it's not even over yet.
Holy.
Oh, it's like bone fights, but even better. like the fact that they let
Why are
him
you still
continue.
standing?
Make it stop. Make it stop. This claiming 8 count for her. And going for the TKO. Now, gentlemen, I would like to say the fact that she hasn't gone down, like real down yet. I mean, she has a head thing on, so you got to give her some credit, but she literally has not made one shot.
Somebody asked what they just walked into. Just a review of what nightlife looked like being deployed in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Yeah, so this is Lance Corporal Venner's right. They shouldn't have allowed the fight to go the full 2 minutes. That woman was not
Agreed.
even defending herself halfway in the fight. She kept stumbling. But yeah. I'll be honest with you. Here's the only thing I'll give her, right, is the fact that she took made the challenge and she tried to stay in there. The problem is people need to know when they're outclassed.
Here's the thing. After the fight, he was subjected to counseling for not letting her win.
Probably true.
All right. Let's see. Here's the next exchange. The ref needed to stop her from taking those blows to the back of the head, too. Amateur ref work, too. All right. I think that's enough. It's kind of like,
I have to point something out. I'll man enough to admit when I was wrong. When I said that there were no faggot weapon systems in
Djibouti,
COG has informed me that the United States Navy is indeed there, so there are faggots in there.
In the Navy.
There was a tweet yesterday where somebody said that we're going to get a letter of marque and we're all going to go out and do piracy on the Venezuelans. And there was a whole crew listed. John Conrad was on there, me, Braxton, Clay, and a few others. And I said, listen, I'm only going if I could play in the Navy from the loudhailer as we board enemy. Strike terror into them.
That's so funny. So let's move on, shall we? Here, Joe, this one's right up your alley. Russian border guards breach Estonian territory, ambassador summoned. Estonia's foreign minister said that Thursday it would summon Russia's ambassador to demand an explanation after border guards allegedly breached the sovereign territory of Estonia. Now, they say breach, but what did they do? Did they really wander across the border trail in the woods? I don't know.
Yeah, probably took a wrong turn on a snowmobile.
Well, but it isn't. If I remember, this image is coming back to me, Joe. I think this is that part where the road goes through, it's like one of those kind of bends in the road, and it actually kind of. They have to have permission to go across there, but it's like a Russian road, but it goes into Estonia, maybe. I wonder.
I'm not an expert on Estonian geography, so I'll take your word for it.
Well, the only reason I say that is because I feel like we had a story about this like 2 years ago when the Baltic dwarves were flipping out and frothing at the mouth after Ukraine war started. The crossing reportedly took place at 10 a.m. Near the village of Vasknarva after the guards disembarked from a hovercraft and advanced on foot. That's interesting. A hovercraft was involved. Estonia's interior minister noticed the incident posed no immediate security risk, but described that the police and border guard patrols had since been significantly reinforced to remain on high alert. Following the border breach incident, which is said to have taken place over some 20 minutes on Wednesday, the Russian guards returned to the hovercraft and headed back towards the Russian side of the river. Okay, so they didn't do anything. It happened quickly enough for alerted Estonian guards to be unable to apprehend the 3 Russians. 3 Russians. The invasion force of 3 Russians.
I guarantee you, I know what happened. They said, piss on Estonia, and they did.
Right. The incident's been recorded by surveillance equipment, and the initial inspection was carried out on the breakwater. An official contact has been established with the border representative of the Federal Russian Federation to obtain an explanation.
Think about this. This is the thing that young military-age males do, right? You know what would be so funny, bro? Just land over there, take a piss, and get back on our boat. I guarantee you that's what happened.
So this is interesting right here. The most reasonable thing I think I've heard the Estonians say in this entire article is what's coming up here. In recent years, I wonder why, Estonia has raised questions about the personnel employed by the Russian authorities. One concern we have with the Russian border guards is that the quality of their personnel has become extremely inconsistent in recent years for understandable reasons. They no longer have regular staff. I mean, let's be honest, that's actually being fairly charitable. Inconsistent as a form of criticism. People are being brought in from other regions. This has been a recurring problem. Right. And so this actually explains the whole fucking thing in a realistic way, not in a kind of a juvenile way, which is what I think. I'm with you, Joe. I think this is them basically being dared by their buddies to do it, and they did it, and and they came back.
Dude, if you were assigned border guard duties with Estonia, you'd find anything to do to make the job more exciting. It's probably a little boring. And I've met exactly one former Russian border guard in my life, and that was a legit and professional person. So.
Yeah, in the during the Cold War, if I remember correctly, the border guards were part of the military security apparatus, not the military. So they were the border guards were a kind of an elite formation back then.
They were under the Ministry of Interior, but yes,
yeah,
Ministry of Interior had its own legitimate military.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it. They had their own special forces. I mean, in the Chechen War, they were sending Oman into fight Chechens like regular pipe hitters. Let's see. Anyway, so yeah, I think this is interesting, but I think that the broader kind of thing. Let's see. Is there video of this? Yeah, it looks like there might be video, but I wonder if this is like an island in a river or something. Yeah. Not exactly the invasion of Estonia.
Yeah, but leave it to Estonia to act like it is, right?
Right.
And I get it. It's their sovereign territory, but how often do border patrolmen step on Mexican territory and Mexican police step foot on ours?
The Mexicans do it all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think the kind of broader issue, Joe, for us to kind of dovetail off of this is this almost pathological need for Europe to decide that Russia is the enemy they want to fight, and they're ready. They're doing everything they can to get ready to fight them ASAP, right? Almost like they're spoiling for that fight.
The Russians are coming.
I mean, Watcher, what were you saying earlier about the Russian equipment and the Russian personnel? I mean, I'm sorry, the German equipment and personnel.
Yeah, just that they're surging as though they're going to go to war, but that is something that you do many years before you have to or want to go to war, particularly if it's a war of convenience. That's something that you build up over the course of a very long time, because you're not going to be able to get what you need for love or money in a short scramble.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this 2 weeks ago about kind of this Europe spoiling for a fight, right? The French are kind of showing it in different ways. The British are absolutely kind of salivating for the idea that they're going to have to be ready to fight Russia. Germany is tooling back up their military. The only ones that are actually ready to fight are Poland, and the only thing they're pissed off about is these, border jumpers that come across, the Belarusian border. But that's a legitimate concern, and it's less about Belarus and Russia, and it's more about illegal immigrants trying to get in their country.
Encouraged to get into their country.
Say that again.
Being encouraged to enter that country,
right,
by NGOs. Yeah.
Well, Joe, the irony is, if I was an illegal immigrant, the last place in Europe I'd want to go is Poland.
Right. Mm.
All right. Anything else on this, gentleman?
Negative.
Negatron. All right. Moving on. Joe, this is something that you've got a lot of experience here with. Largest ever retail theft ring in Queens busted after stealing $2.2 million from Home Depot. You've got a lot of experience in fraud prevention and loss. You want to just kind of give an overview on like the whole idea of organized retail theft?
Well, most of it actually stems from human trafficking and illegal aliens. But one of the options they're given to pay for their trip is to work for a shoplifting ring for X number of years, travel the country, gather the gear. But basically, they'll come in and they'll just load up carts and carts and carts at a time, and either go out a side exit or cause a distraction in one part of the store and go out the other. But these rings travel the country. They live out of hotels. They run in great rental vehicles, top of the line, big vehicles that'll haul a lot of stuff. And it costs retail stores billions and billions of dollars, far more than casual shoplifting does. And now in the modern age, most stores don't have security that deals with regular run-of-the-mill shoplifters. They have investigation teams that handle just this stuff. And they end up traveling the country behind these groups, gathering the evidence, trying to get ahead of them to try and catch one of them in the act. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah. Just before we go any deeper into this, I just want to say hello to potential criminal Sean. For $5 said, "Want to say hello, Merry Christmas to all." Suffer a judge Dugan.
Oh yeah. We've been excited about that, Sean. It's good to see you, man. You got the link in the chat if you want it, but I got to ask: are you going to give us all the Christmas gift of becoming immigration judge?
That's right. Yeah, I hear they need immigration judges, and people with a healthy disdain for foreigners is probably.
I'm just saying, man. If you ever want to see, if you never want to hear another lawyer bad joke out of me ever again.
Let me rephrase something that Scott just said, because it's not a dislike of foreigners. It's a dislike of those who break the rules to get in.
That's true. I of course was being facetious, but yes, Joe is 100% correct.
Yeah. I know you were just being facetious, but there are people in our chat who are like a dog with a bone.
Yeah, 100% right. And and my circumstances, so I clearly don't disdain foreigners.
Some might say you're sleeping with the enemy.
That's exactly right.
Don't tell her I said that.
Literally. All right.
I'm in danger.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Joe. I don't know if a continent's enough.
I was gonna say. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying. Okay. All right. Let me get it back into this. Prosecutors in Queens say they dismantled what they described as the largest organized retail theft ring ever prosecuted in the borough after a crew allegedly stole more than $2.2 million worth of merchandise from Home Depot stores across 9 states. There's that kind of interstate aspect of it, Joe. 13 people were charged in a sweeping 780 count indictment that accuses a group of carrying out 319 thefts at 128 Home Depot locations in New York and 8 other states. On some days, the prosecutors say the crew stole as little as $1,800 in goods and as much as $35,000 in goods. Authorities said the volume of stolen goods and construction equipment was enough to build an unknown number of houses. Investigators allege the defendants met in Queens to plan their thefts, then split the teams that scouted store inventories online the night before, targeting specific locations. The stolen merchandise was transported back to Queens and resold either through a Brooklyn storefront or on Facebook Marketplace, according to prosecutors. The group sometimes hit the same Home Depot up 4 times in a single day, taking breaks between for meals in between. Let's see. The governor says since taking office, my highest priority has been driving down crime. This is not true, by the way. Hochul said, crediting a new funding of a organized retail theft task force and tougher laws for helping bring the case. 13 defendants, over $2.2 million in merchandise, 319 incidents of theft. All right, so that's just the stats. The interesting thing, Joe, is I don't hear the New York folks talking at all about who these people are.
Well, yeah, that's because their names are all things like Manuel and Roberto. But the 319 incidents are just the ones they were identified in. It's probably at least 3 times that no one ever knew they were there. So,
well, you know, the sad thing is, Joe, is that a lot of these people who are basically forced to take part in these rings are essentially slavery. It's just literally modern day slavery. If you want to know what it looks like, this is it.
100%. This and some of the other things that go on in hotels owned by certain cultures.
Yeah, don't get me started. I might say foreigner again. All right. Anyway, moving on. A lot to talk about with that issue, but it's just one of those kind of things. I just want to kind of touch on some of the little things as we move. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about tactical-wisdom.com?
Yeah, sure. All those times when I share all the solar power banks, the best tactical wisdom you can have is to have a couple of them on hand, so that you can run your batteries all day long. I'm getting a nice free trial of the Boog, and I'm going to cancel after the free trial. 4 of 10 would not recommend. But anywho, we have the whole schedule up for January and February. If you have a week off in January, you can get a lot of good training in, because the 9th through the 11th, I'll be running winter fieldcraft. It's a variant of our fieldcraft class. A lot of the same skills are covered, but with a winter focus, and going with some of those individual cold weather skills that you need. And then as I lay here underneath a blanket while we're doing this show, by the way, then after that, Kay from Combat Studies Group is going to bring back his Ground Rod 1, digital tradecraft, how to protect yourself, your phone, your laptop, your tablets while online. Immediately followed by his gunfighter concepts on January 17th and 18th. Those 2 classes aren't listed on my site, but they are listed on my Twitter page. After that, I'm going to have combatives at the end of the month of January, followed again by winter survival, which the guys who took it really liked it. We're going to have a lot of good stuff. We got a couple folks signed up for winter fieldcraft, or as the Canadians call it, just regular fieldcraft. Come on out and check out a class, buy some books, do all of the things, and that way I can buy Mrs. Tactical Wisdom some Christmas presents.
You know, Joe, we always talk about preparation in kind of in the context of, like, what happens if bad situations go down, like, these kind of like black swan kind of events, right?
Yes.
But what we're really doing is, if you're prepared for something really tough, then what you end up with in the situation that you're in right now is essentially an inconvenience, right?
It really is only an inconvenience. So, yeah.
But if you're not ready for this, it's potentially life-threatening, So it's not just about like, going to war. This is going to weather. And it's not just Montana, right? If you're in the hurricane zones, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, you're in these areas. If you've lived there for a while, you already know you've got to be prepared. You've got to have supplies. This is just, the cost of doing business in these areas.
Yeah, I hear that Florida may dip down into the 40s or 50s. So pray for the Floridians. I mean, wow.
I know, God, they are not ready for that.
They're not going to survive.
Sean says, I can't make it on. I sent my application in, so let's hope for the best.
You're the best, Sean. I love it.
I think Sean becoming an immigration judge would be like the ultimate meta, kind of just proof that it's a simulation because they want to do because Sean would be smart enough to make sure that the video is always on in his court.
Yeah, you tell the immigration lawyers, just so you know, I'm going to deny every motion you make. I just want you to know that going in.
All right. All right. The brush beater ad for today is go to brushbeater.store, code CFC10 for 5% off. Anything if you buy over $100 for you get shipping for free. Absolutely the place to go for optics. I didn't prepare a script today. Mea culpa, mea motherfucking culpa. Joe, I mean, he's branching out to where pretty much like all the basics you can get on his site.
Yes. And he's got a new iRay one out there right now that's a multi-purpose thing. It's got the thermal on it. It also has a laser rangefinder. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there. I told him he has to stop coming out with new products because I can't possibly sell enough books to keep up.
Yeah.
But he's got great stuff. And, everyone thinks they got to have the top of the line. Look, I'm running a Rattler 384 and the AGM Wolf 14, and they work just fine. So you need something, though. So get out there and buy something. If you're just starting out, I'd go with a thermal.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the first thing I'll buy will be nods because I've used them so much. I feel very comfortable with that. But thermal is just next level kind of. It's just a capability that you can't get with nods.
Yeah, I mean, people have to understand there are two different tools for two different purposes, right? Nods are for movement, and thermals are for detecting living things. So
yeah, you're exactly right, Joe. It's every tool is right for the job that it was designed for, and some that it wasn't.
Right, it's not either or; it's actually both.
As a Floridian, I reject your opinion that we cannot survive. We'll just complain the entire time as we curse damn Yankees for sending their weather down here. I mean, it is the invasion of Florida that you always feared.
All right, and then for our third ad segment, go to Chirping Tree Farm store. I'm actually sending you the link there. You can find it on my X page, but there you can find many handmade gifts and also hot honey. Just in case your power goes out, you might want some candles. I don't know. It's all good stuff, though. It's all handmade, and we appreciate you guys. So there you go.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into the main topic for today. The Brown shooting. So this is how I want to lead. Speaking of brush beater and NC Scout, aka Matt. So his post is, and you gotta think of Polly Walnut's voice here, and I'm not gonna attempt to do it, but he says. Tony, you mean to tell me the old guy drove all the way from Florida, rented a shipping container, magically found and clipped the most prominent conservative on campus, no camera saw him, clipped an MIT professor, and then killed himself?
Yeah. Listen, if something seems way too convenient, it's because it's way too convenient. And the thing about dead guys is they can't refute what you're about to say about them. So I find this whole thing too neat of a package. So
I can't help but feel that this is how that shooting in Minnesota of those legislatures was supposed to end as well.
Well, here's the other thing too, right? And Joe, I mean, you've got a lot more of an experience with law enforcement, so I'll rely on your analysis here. The incompetence of the police is either A, known and planned for, or B, completely allowed this to go on without any kind of challenge.
Or there's a third option, which I'm more inclined to believe, is that this entire thing was a scripted event, and law enforcement was told exactly where to go and look. Right. What led to the discovery of this person, and I can reveal it now that it's done. And if you're on my locals, you knew this a couple days ago. They identified a rental vehicle that was near the scene of both, which is pretty unusual. And they backtracked everything from there. I don't know how they got on. I think they got out of the storage unit by the name on the car rental, because it was a failed to return, so that made it stolen. That made a search warrant real easy. And then they found him in the vehicle. But I've long said that they identify these folks, and then they guide them every step of the way, point them in a direction. Hey, we need you to wander around this town for a while and case this out. So that he's on video wandering around, right? Then whoever does the attack, but it gets painted as this individual. So I'm not certain that the third option isn't the way this went. The police work was exactly what it was because they were only given a certain amount of evidence to do what they could. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, it makes sense that, I mean, they're not in on it, but they're being fed a narrative, right? By
you know what's funny is a movie that points to the same kind of thing as Shooter, right? They only looked for the one suspect because they were fed information that pointed to this guy, and it wasn't him. So,
Watcher, I mean, Joe hasn't been as plugged into the media as he normally would do. How did you kind of take the drib drab of information since the Wednesday show on this?
I'm not gonna lie, I mostly was busy dealing with wind stuff, but the parts of it that I did see, this doesn't none of this looks none of this looks straightforward or simple to me. So the dude decides after 20 years that this weekend is the weekend he's going to go up, and he just so happens to pick the one spot on the campus where he wasn't going to be seen by the cameras, and just so happens to pick the one classroom in which, like, none of this makes any damn sense. Somebody's tried to say that they targeted that classroom because of the professor. All right, why didn't he shoot at the professor then? Why was it only 2 students that got killed?
Yeah.
Like, none of this makes any goddamn sense. Like, this guy being the only one involved is guaranteed not to be the case. But as Joe said, like, dead men tell no tales. Where the fuck do you go with this now?
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I mean, that's what you call wrapped up in a nice, pretty little bow. Never mind the fact that they've completely just stopped talking about the other guy now that they've got this guy. All right, let's kind of dive into the story here on Zero Hedge. Suspect in Brown University attack found dead was a non-U.S. citizen. Let's see. Law enforcement sources tell Brown University shooting suspect is not a U.S. citizen, but a legal permanent resident. Breaking law enforcement sources tell me the university shooting was a non-legal permanent resident. Police identified the shooter as Claudio Neves Valenti, a Portuguese national and former Brown student, right?
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Yeah, image of the shooting suspect here. We've got this is way better than any other image that I'd seen up until this point. So clearly they were bullshitting when they said
and it looks like it's coming from inside of a college building as well.
Yeah, at least some sort of public building.
Let's see. He's wearing a very distinctive jacket that showed up on the other video.
Right.
This is way too convenient.
They're investigating possible ties between Saturday's shooting at Brown University and Monday's deadly shooting at MIT. Authorities on Thursday continue to search for the killer. The world-renowned Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor and fusion energy physicist who was shot and killed inside his home near Boston earlier this week. A suspicious attack that occurred just days after a deadly shooting at Brown University. MIT professor in fusion energy. I think you talked about this a little bit on Wednesday's show, Watcher. Fusion energy specialist was pronounced dead at the local hospital on Tuesday after being shot multiple times at his Brookline home on Monday night. Norfolk District Attorney's Office and local authorities said they launched a homicide investigation. It's not hyperbole to say MIT is where you go to find solutions to humanity's biggest problems. Fusion energy will change the course of human history, which is how his work was being described at MIT's Plasma Science Lab. And it was only 50 miles away from the previous murder.
And this guy also worked at the same college in Portugal as the professor, which I think is a weak at best link, right?
Yeah.
Very weak.
Let's see. Senior law enforcement sources say federal, state, and local authorities have uncovered evidence suggesting the two incidents may be connected, marking a major shift in the investigation. This contrasts with earlier statements from the FBI's Boston field office, which said there appeared to be no connection. Yeah, there appears to be no connection until there's a fucking connection. That's how connections work. At Brown, the government killed Ella Cook and I'm not going to say that guy, Mohammed Aziz Umurzokov. That's pretty close, I think. Cook served as the vice president of the Ivy League schools college Republicans. In both cases, the shooting suspects remained at large. Nuno was not only a brilliant scientist, but he was a brilliant person, says fellow MIT professor. So that's all just kind of like he was great. And here, this is. Even the Israeli authorities have not ruled out Iranian involvement. Dun, dun, dun. Two strange shooting deaths occurred just days apart, less than an hour away from each other on America's two leading Ivy League schools. Joe, this is not a fucking coincidence.
I know. No way.
I mean, shocking. I know. But
it's not even that. I mean, sure, it's not a coincidence. Same guy shot them both. Okay, I get it. But it's not a random thing, and it's not just this guy. There is more at play here.
Exactly right. If you think this is just a random guy with I think I'm going to shoot a MIT scientist, and I think I'm going to shoot what was the guy who was supposed to be teaching that class who wasn't there? Wasn't there some connection, like him, either as a Jewish
connection to the building, but none to that professor. That professor has connections to Israel.
Yeah, this whole thing is all assed up, and it's this guy was killed by whoever his handler was. Somebody was pulling his strings. We may find out more about this guy, but I doubt the fact that he was the shooter means there's probably not a whole lot to pin on him.
They're just going to say, case closed, nothing else to see here, move on.
Yeah. Although there is one more thing that we found out about him, which is how he got here.
Yeah, so related to this, Trump halts diversity card green lottery after Brown MIT shootings traced to non-citizen. President Trump ordered the suspension of the U.S. green card diversity lottery after federal investigators said the suspect in the Brown shooting and the killing of the MIT scientist was a non-citizen who entered the country through the program. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote on an X post late Thursday that at Trump's direction, she had ordered the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to paused the diversity immigrant visa program. She said, at Trump's direction, I am immediately, directing USCIS to pause the DV1 program to ensure no more Americans are harmed by this disastrous program. She continued, the Brown University shooter entered the U.S. Through the diversity lottery immigration visa program
From Portugal in Europe.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Not very diverse, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I hear they're brown in Portugal now. That's, I hear Spain and Portugal are getting special consideration. In 2017, and was granted a green card. The heinous individual should never have been allowed into our country. In 2017, President Trump fought to end this program following the devastating New York City truck ramming by ISIS terrorists who entered under the DV1 program and murdered 8 people. Joe, the irony is that was the height of Trump trying to kind of get people, the travel bans from all those kind of shithole countries, right? And while he was fighting for that, which was, I think, a laudable goal, this guy sneaks in through the fucking cracks, which goes to show that, the only way that you can prevent this kind of stuff is to have literally a iron grasp on the pipeline of people coming into the country.
People generally don't commit spectacular crimes until they commit a spectacular crime.
Yeah,
kind of hard to vet people,
Yeah. See, that's the problem, right? There's almost got to be. It's kind of like what we do with security clearances in the military, right? We do this thing called continuous vetting, meaning like they're always kind of checking in, right? They're using.
They used to call that the personnel reliability program, but yeah.
Yeah, but the idea was with security clearances specifically, it was like you did a thorough review every 5 years to kind of like say, is this guy still staying on the straight and narrow, that type of thing. And I hate to say it, but with the availability of AI algorithms and things like this, maybe that's the kind of, you're going to lose a little bit of your information freedom in order to come into this country. That might be the price of doing business.
I'm never gonna. I agree. I'm never gonna say more government intrusion into life is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only place I would draw a line on that is if they're non-citizens, right? I totally agree with you when it comes to citizens. Once you're here as a citizen, government intrusion is not the answer.
It's like everyone was cheering on the new thing saying you have to submit 5 years of social media before you can enter the country. That's great, right up until they start applying it to us, right? And they will.
Yeah. See, I mean, yeah, that's right. Court documents show Neves was a Portuguese national, entered the U.S. on a student visa to attend Brown in 2000. After leaving the school, his whereabouts are unclear until 2017. He was found dead in a New Hampshire storage facility on Thursday. Providence police chief said at a press conference. The U.S. attorney for Massachusetts released a complaint affidavit on X regarding the shooter's detailed of his immigration status and connected him with this as a suspect in the MIT shooting.
Crazy talk.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the bottom line on this whole topic is there are people out there who are using the immigrants that are coming into this country in ways that aren't totally clear. Because like this guy's a perfect example of, while he's not like an American, he's definitely not somebody that you would say like, oh, he was on our radar. Unless there's a lot of shit that we don't know yet, right? That maybe the intelligence community knows, and they're not talking on. I mean, he could have connections to terror suspects and other nation states.
Or he could have developed them after he got here. I mean,
that's what I mean. Yeah, like he came here clean and then developed them.
Yep.
Watcher, you got any final thoughts on the Brown shooting?
Yeah, just that I'm not satisfied that we know even what happened at this. Like, I hate shit like this where we're never going to get to the bottom of it.
The truth is, nobody has produced Mustafa Kobar or whatever his name is.
Yep.
And they haven't explained adequately why they removed all references to him from the college's websites. And they did it in real time. No one's produced the guy. They haven't put him in a press conference. He hasn't said, hey, guys, it's not me. Where's that dude? Where'd he go?
Forging Freedom asks, are we the baddies? Is this a false flag situation to justify more crackdown on immigration, which I'm in favor of, but I'm just asking a question. I think the answer is no, but
No.
that doesn't mean to say that somebody wasn't pulling his string.
Let's, this first of all, we wouldn't schwack one of our most prominent fusion researchers. The guy is probably literally one of the last scientists you'd ever want to knock off as far as us going forward goes. He had major research applications into directed energy weapons. No.
Yeah, so there's like three areas. The third rail science of three are kind of three areas right now, right? It's AI, it's fusion, and it's quantum computers, right? Like if you're an expert in any of those areas, I mean, you've got a skill that allows you almost to write your ticket. And so
I also think somebody put this to me this way a few days ago, that there's a war on within the deep state apparatus between one side and the other. And it's entirely possible that two things can be true. Our government didn't plan this, but our government did this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I totally get where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
And it could very well be Iranian terror. This could be some of that IRGC terror that we've been.
I already said the CIA did it, man. You can't go back to say the CIA did it.
I know, that's what I just said, Scott. I said the CIA did it. You just said IRGC. That's the CIA. I know, right? But see, that's the problem with these kind of things. It's like you could wrap your head around your brain in knots trying to figure out, like, well, then, like who's on first, right? That's the problem with these.
And here's the thing: people on the left will say only the uneducated believe in conspiracy theories. I would challenge this: the more educated you become, and the more knowledgeable you become in the way our government operates, conspiracy theories all of a sudden make a lot more sense, right?
Yeah,
and
go ahead. Joe, the thing that's been most helpful for me, because I feel like I'm not a stupid person. I'm educated and I've got a pretty agile mind, right? For me, and I'm a skeptic, right? Like I am not somebody who just likes to believe kind of things, right? I've always been enticed by Alex Jones, but I never really bought Alex Jones. Right?
I was like, I thought if you're going to say something about Santa, I was going to come over there and stab you.
No, hold on, real quick, Alex Jones.
No, but let me get to my point, because I don't want to lose the bubble here. So, but the point is that it's not about like, oh, the Israelis did it, or it's UFOs did it, or it's a flat Earth conspiracy, or it's he was also working on the Jewish space lasers, or the CIA did it. Forget about all those kind of like endpoints, because all of them could be both true and untrue all at the same time. The point is that these are events that have if you can't see the questions, and if you can't see the coincidences, if you can't see the weird kind of stuff that, that doesn't make sense, but then it's never explained. Like, let's be honest, the Butler shooting is a perfect example of that. There are more questions than there are answers. And the more answers we get, the more questions that we get. I have no idea who was responsible, if it was a lone shooter or if there was a team of Iranian assassins pushing this kid. I don't know. All I know is that the answer to this, and probably the answer to this MIT/Brown shooting, are going to be completely unsatisfactory. And if that doesn't lead you to some sort of alternate solution than what let's be honest, the utterly incompetent civil officials in Providence, Rhode Island are giving us, and to be very frank, the FBI as well. I don't know what to tell you.
Because literally less than 6 hours before they magically caught this guy, they had literally no idea who they were looking for. Right? The Providence Police Department came out and said, "We've got nothing. We're asking for leads." They hadn't interviewed a single witness. They had done nothing. And then miraculously were handed the entire case wrapped up with a bow. Questions.
I can actually illuminate that. Did you see how this happened? They caught him because of a Reddit post, and not his Reddit post. So somebody had posted a week earlier about running into this dude casing the building, and like a really, really weird interaction, and I had recorded the dude's license plate number, and that the license plate was from Florida, and that it was a gray Sentra, and all this kind of shit. They ended up finding that Reddit post and then recombining all that with footage that was from back then, which I think might be where that second photo came from. Okay, now we know what day he was around. We can find him.
But that also asks even more questions. Why were the cameras so clear and crisp that day, and then a potato cam on the day in question?
Yeah, I think it was probably a different camera, but no, you're completely right. And also, like, there's a shit ton of other questions. One of the biggest ones is why would you allow all of the witnesses in your case to leave and go home and be tampered with and watch media?
Exactly. And someone told this guy, if he cased it a week before, what was he doing casing it the day of, walking all around the neighborhoods in front of everybody's Ring cameras, intentionally to be seen? Someone was creating an impression and pointing everything at this guy. It doesn't necessarily mean this guy pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the correct answer. And the other guy has got to be involved somehow.
There's another bit of this that unsettles the absolute shit out of me, which is if you look into the scientist that got killed, he was killed outside of his condo in the hallway to get into his condo. His whole family was inside. He wasn't returning home. Why was he in the hallway? Why did this guy have to roll up
to the laundry room? Lord knows.
Why? Well, yeah, but why did that? How did this guy know to roll up right when this guy just so happens to be outside of his house?
Well, there were several days in between, so he could have been watching and waiting.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But Scott, I want to point out the only error in your whole scheme there was it's always them Jews.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not Monday. You can say that.
Hey, Joe. They are either the suspects of the crime or the victims, and sometimes both.
I'm waiting for someone to drop in the chat. Well, the Jews killed the Israeli professor or the Jewish professor to make it look like somebody hates Jews, as if we need more evidence that people hate Jews.
Oh, this is an Israeli false flag.
I'm sorry. Yep. No, as long as we're there, I now get to bring up my favorite dumb post I've seen ever, for at least for the last 24-hour period, which has to have been the follow-on attacks on Bondi Beach. The guys that they caught in their cars trying to go down to Bondi Beach, fully armed and ready to go. Those have to be false flag attacks, because Muslims have such a well-documented history of not attacking people.
Yeah, and not attacking the same place twice.
All right, gentlemen. I think that that kind of does us done and dusted with this today.
Where is Mustafa? That's it. Now I'm going to keep asking that question until they produce him.
That's the best exit question here, right? Not what happened in the shipping container, not who else is involved. Where's Mustafa? That's the question.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think he's going to turn up overseas
or dead.
Or dead. That's right. So the Brown shooting is part of a broader kind of problem in America, and it's just that we're dealing with what weekly. That's what I've been saying, weekly, but sometimes it feels like daily terror attacks, right? And if you look in the broader kind of them versus us, with us being the broader West narrative, it's almost every day there are terrorist attacks. So it doesn't surprise me that the political establishment completely crashes out over this, especially when you call a spade a spade. Hysterical Debbie Wasserman Schultz declares Trump larger threat than Islamic terrorism. Yes, because he's obviously killed more Jews on Bondi Beach than Islamic terrorists. The Democratic Party has taken a break from comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler to warn that the president is a larger threat to the United States than Islamic Jihad. The hysterical remarks come during a Tuesday appearance on News Nation's On Balance, where host Leland Vittert asked old Debbie Wasserman Schultz whether Islamophobia or jihad posed a larger threat to American life or values following the recent terror attacks targeting Jews on Bondi Beach that killed 15 people and wounded dozens more. I think we have to focus, this is her speaking now, I think we have to focus, quite frankly, on if we're worried about the threat to American values, on the person who's in the White House. I mean, we have a president, Schultz, who is Jewish, said, yeah, I'm going there because we have a president who's completely undermined our democracy. So you don't see jihad, you don't see this as a problem, he asked. Well, let's just watch the fucking video. I forgot
though, when we do, I want everyone in the chat to think about this. Why does Debbie Wasserman Schultz wear ramen noodles on her head?
That's a good question. Inquiring minds want to know, Joe.
What is the bigger threat to America right now, American values, American life? Islamophobia or jihad?
Or his voice?
I think we have to focus, quite frankly, on, if we're worried about the threat to American values, on the person who's in the White House. I mean, we have a president.
Come on. Really?
No,
is that where we're going? Come on.
Yeah, I'm going there.
Wow. They actually pushed back on her.
Because we have a president who has completely undermined our democracy, who has...
you don't see jihad, you don't see this is a problem?
What I don't see is it as a single lens problem. We have a president who has...
Meanwhile, she makes it a single lens problem by saying it's all Donald Trump's fault.
To divide instead of unite us. The responsibility.
I have to say, Congressman, you know how much I admire you, and I always appreciate being able to come on and discuss things. But we booked you to talk about anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in America. So I'm asking the question
about Islamophobia.
No, those on the left right now, members of Congress. Okay, Bernie Sanders and AOC today. The normalization and acceptance of Islamophobia in politics is disgusting. Our Muslim neighbors are not Republican scapegoats for anti-Semitic attacks and Trump's failed policies, how Trump's policies laid. Hold on. Bernie Sanders, we must stand together and end anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all hate, no exceptions. Mamdani, 1 million Muslims live in New York City. We belong there, as does every other New Yorker. Vile Islamophobia from the councilwoman has no place in our city. What did the councilwoman say? We need to take very seriously the need to begin the expulsion of Muslims from Western nations. Again, Democrats do not seem all that concerned right now about the threat from jihad.
Damn. All right.
I mean, that's more than asking tough questions. That's him making statements, and it's nice to see the media growing some balls.
Well, and it's funny because he should have used her as basically like, hey, why you're not just not calling out jihadists, you're literally like, I am asking you point blank, and you're giving me the same line the rest of you are getting. Who's giving you that line?
The single-minded focus on the elimination of Donald Trump tells you they're not going to wait for an election to do it. I'm just saying.
Right. Basically what they're, and I think this kind of builds on what you just said, Joe, is that they have identified their enemy, and it isn't Islam who wants to kill Jews or regular Americans. It's Donald Trump, and they're
literally just said that Donald Trump is more dangerous than the people who are actually killing people.
Won't somebody rid me of this Donald Trump?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I thought and she was rather hysterical there. I want a president who actually walks the walk as much as he talks the talk, Schultz said. I want a president who makes sure that we restore the nonprofit security grant funding that protects Jewish institutions and other religious institutions from attacks that we're talking about. I think the amount of money she's talking about for Jewish institutions was probably minuscule to that going to leftist causes and to Islamic charities. I want a president who is
about, a Catholic charity is at risk. A Catholic charity that brings in immigrants is at risk because of a loss of federal funding. If you have federal funding, you are not a charity.
Right. You are a branch of you are a undeclared branch of the United States government.
Correct.
All right, moving on. Dan Bongino to resign. So here's my question, guys. Is this Dan Bongino? So I think the answer could be not maybe a little from column A and a little column B. But is this Dan Bongino disgusted what he's saying on the FBI and basically saying no mas, I'm done? Is this Dan Bongino with legitimate family problems and that he's just because he's actually putting too much of himself into this position and it's not loving him back? Or is this Dan Bongino being forced out because he's not towing the line? I mean, it could be a little bit of everything, but it also, I think, and I only say the family thing because, there have been legitimate sources that have said that this has caused a lot of acrimony between him and his wife because she doesn't live in DC. They're apart quite a bit, and this job took a lot of his time. I mean,
he said, "This is just like washing the dishes, Dan. You kept saying you're going to wash the dishes, and you never did. You kept saying you're going to disband the FBI, and you never did."
He says, I will be leaving my position with the FBI in January. I want to thank President Trump and Bondi and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. He continued, more importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. Yeah, here's the question, Joe. What happens when we find out 2 years from now that he showed up with the mandate to dismantle the FBI? It was basically given the Heisman at every turn when he tried to do things, and
he's had many opportunities in front of a camera to say that is the case, and he has not.
Well, but I think this is one of those kind of things where he probably wouldn't do it. He wouldn't say that, I think, while he's in the job, but he might say it afterwards.
Oh, he's definitely going to say it after. After the question becomes, is it true or not? Because if truly wanted to disband the FBI, he would have taken some concrete steps.
Here's the thing: if he comes out and he's got harsh criticism for Patel and Bondi, then that makes me believe his viewpoint, because then it's essentially being protected.
I disagree, because Dan Bongino is not like every other former director we've had. Because every other former director we have has been a lifelong bureaucrat who was wedded to the organization, who would not dare speak ill of it because he wouldn't be able to feed his family. Bongino's not in that boat. Bongino has plenty of money and always has. So he had the freedom to speak freely.
I mean, he's a part owner of Rumble. I mean, yeah. So he has FU money, which is a kind of, I don't know what to think. I think you and Watcher and I are all in the same boat. Like, we were really looking forward to him coming in there because he said all the right things going into it. But he said that as a broadcast journalist. We understand that from the standpoint of, like, when you're in the seat, that you do give up some of your ability to say whatever the fuck wants to come out of your mouth. But at the same time, I think you're right, Joe. You have to you have to speak a little truth to power.
I think there's probably some truth in what Romb has to say in the chat here. He says Dan's a decent guy. He didn't have the power to do what he wanted to do. Bondi's the problem. Now, I don't know if Bondi is the problem. And I'm not saying that in a I want to defend Bondi kind of way. I don't know. From the outside, I think you're correct. But he didn't get, as deputy director of the FBI, to decide who got charged. And I think that's probably a lot of where this goes. Although he could have done a lot more to pull the damn institution around everybody's ears that was trying to stop him.
Yeah.
So one of the goals of anyone who's ever been in federal law enforcement is to be on the top floor of the FBI building, right? In some capacity, whether it's director, assistant director, or assistant to the assistant director, whatever the next level is. And Dan got it. So you have to understand there's a little bit of star seeking there. When he got that opportunity, he was like, this is the pinnacle. I was in federal law enforcement. I have reached the top. So he probably pulled back a little bit on his original zeal. But at some point, he made such a career and made so much money off of the idea of dismantling the FBI. He's got to take some responsibility for failing to do so. Kash Patel, even more so, right? So here's the other thing, though. I'm not going to push that off on Bondi, because Bondi, while she's in charge of the Justice Department, she doesn't have any real authority on a day-to-day basis over the FBI. The purpose of it then is the reason why it's that way is to prevent undue influence on an investigation. So Bondi wouldn't have any authority over them dismantling the FBI or reorganizing the FBI. She would on cases they prosecute, but not on how the FBI is ran and its focuses. And that's the problem I have.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say to kind of shift a little bit of the blame off of Bondi would be to say I think the most powerful entity within the FBI, and probably the broader federal law enforcement, is the unelected bureaucratic blob. And not even the badge carrying, law enforcement guys, the guys that are actually arresting people on the streets, but the bureaucracy that are somewhere between like Bongino and the new FBI agent who's kicking in doors on the street.
FBI agents open their own doors. They have the local cops do that.
I you know what I mean, though, like the actual, the street level agent. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see when Dan finally comes out and shares. I bet there will be. You just think she's hot? You think I think Bondi's hot? I mean, for a 62-year-old woman, she doesn't look bad, but I don't think she's hot. This is a woman that was never hot. She was just blonde. All right. Let's move on to the next dumpster fire in the domestic dumpster fire segment. Coming from our favorite, Mara Naval, breaking: Wisconsin judge convicted of felony for helping illegal immigrant evade ICE arrest. I'll do it. I'll get the heat. She got it. Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan was convicted Thursday of obstructing official proceeding, a felony carrying up to 5 years in prison. She was acquitted of a misdemeanor charge. The facts: in April, FBI and ICE agents arrived at Dugan's courthouse to arrest Eduardo Flores Ruiz, who had been deported in 2013 and was back in the country illegally, facing battery charges. Dugan sent the agents down the hall to another office. While they were away, she postponed Flores Ruiz hearing and personally directed him out the back door. Prosecutors played a recording of Dugan telling her court reporter about the plan. When her clerk asked if she should show the immigrant the exit, Dugan replied, "I'll do it. I'll get the heat." Agents chased Flores Ruiz on foot and arrested him outside. He was deported in November. Dugan, 66, will lose her judgeship. Wisconsin's Constitution bars convicted felons from holding public office. Prosecutor Kelly Brown Watzka says she was a frustrated and angry judge who was fed up, who decided to corruptly take matters into her own hands. No one is above immigration law, not even judges.
I said this on the day that it happened, that she should have been arrested immediately. The agents should have went right into her office and arrested her the minute they found out what she had done. And I'm glad to see that this outcome has happened. Let's see what the sentence looks like.
Well, let's be honest. She's clearly a wanted gangster, probably wanted for many crimes. It's just a good thing we found her now. I mean, we've broken through her disguise. Here, it's the clearly we have found the leader of the Hut syndicate.
Wow,
the resemblance is uncanny.
It is uncanny.
Oh man.
You do the all right.
Even to hear her saying, "I want my money, Solo." I mean, wow.
And before we move on to the next story, I do have a bit of breaking news, and it is unfortunate. It looks like Santa might about to have a terrible accident.
Oh boy.
Oh, he's on the Wouldn't it be funny to find out that after playing like Hitman 5 or whatever, the latest version of the Hitman game, the bald Hitman with the barcode on his back, you find out that he's been working for Hillary Clinton all along. That's why all these killings have been so, yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. So, Joe, I mean, the Bondi Beach thing was, I hate to say it, the outcome after the shell casings had fallen and the the names were taken of the dead, we knew where this is going. How we even showed, I can't remember, did we show the clip of the guns being scrapped?
No, but we thought about it. We talked about it.
I watched it myself, and
we pulled up the clip, and then we decided, everybody knows they're disarmed cucks.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, clearly not disarmed enough. Going to this next clip, let's listen to what the Prime Minister has to say.
We expect hundreds of thousands of firearms will be collected and destroyed through this scheme. Consistent with the approach that was taken in 1996, the government is proposing that states and territories will be responsible for the collection, processing and payment to individuals for surrendered firearms. The Australian Federal Police will then be responsible for the destruction of these firearms. We expect hundreds of thousands.
Import Islamists, disarm Australians. What could possibly go wrong?
I guarantee Islamists will still have access to firearms.
Australians, you can in fact say, fuck you, no.
Well, it's a little harder there, but they can.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great memes in the chat underneath. Well, in the comments underneath this one, Watcher, if you want to peruse them and you can pull up one or two choice ones. My favorite one is, we're living proof of why guns are necessary. It's got the British showing up on one side. Says turn in your guns, and the other side is the rebels saying go fuck yourselves. Yeah, right here. That's my favorite. Yes. I mean, it's almost like it's too easy with Islam.
On average, there's a study that was done probably 10 years ago, but it said on average, when law enforcement intervenes to stop an active shooter, the average number of deaths is 14.2. When an armed citizen intervenes, the deaths are 2.1, which means the person that the active shooter first killed and then the active shooter themselves. So in the modern context, an active shooter means you have too few armed citizens, right? If you had more armed citizens, people would think twice about doing this And if they did, they would end much, much quicker and with much less bloodshed.
It's interesting you should mention that FBI 48%. Hold on a second. Armed civilian. There was an interesting, and I want to find. Right here. Let me watch. I'm sharing this in the private chat here. Pull this up because this goes to your point, Joe. Like expressly to that point, and it's even worse because the government has gone out of its way to suppress that information.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't push enter. My bad.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, did it break? Okay.
So this is a little, like a minute and a half video or whatever. Let's listen to what this guy has.
Huge. Armed citizens stopped 48% of all criminal shooters last year. And the FBI was just caught massively lying about those numbers in their public reports. They recorded, get this, none of them. 0%. Now, you and I and everyone else have seen those local heroes on social media, but rarely do we ever see these stories in mainstream media. Well, the script is about to flip because a new study by the Crime Prevention Research Center reveals that armed civilians stopped over 1/3 of active criminal shooters between 2014 and 2024, nearly 10 times higher than FBI's reported 3.7% average. And again, with even more Americans getting armed post-2020, just last year alone in 2024, civilians stopped half of all criminal shooters. Yet, as I just stated, the FBI recorded 0 of them. You might be asking, how is this possible? Well, while digging for the study, researchers found that police were often falsely credited instead of the armed civilian, which is a recording pattern that clearly increased over the last 10 years. Now, this begs the question, why would they work so hard to hide the significant benefits of an armed public?
Yeah, I think
police departments want to be seen as the hero, right? And while meanwhile also saying it's not my responsibility to protect you.
Well, the irony is, Joe, is I think that I won't say like what percentage, but some police, maybe most of them, definitely a lot of them, resent armed civilians. Taking the initiative to do what the police couldn't do because the police aren't fucking there. They don't show up for 5 minutes, but by the time they show up, when the perpetrator is down and dead. And they're more than happy to treat the armed civilian as a perpetrator until, of course, the video always comes out and this guy is being completely aggressive and the armed civilian.
This is why I recommend a body camera, right? Every time,
right?
And there's a guy who was just charged yesterday, I think, or the day before. 3 guys attempted to carjack him. He pulled out his firearm, stopped them, ordered them to the ground, and held them at gunpoint until the police arrived, and they charged him with kidnapping. Now, here's the deal. The news will never report the outcome because all that's going to happen is he's going to get to his first court appearance, and his lawyer is going to cite citizens' arrest laws, and the charges will be dismissed. But they won't ever report that. They just want you to know that a guy who lawfully exercised his right to effect a citizen's arrest was arrested, so that you stop thinking about it.
Yeah, just because you live in a state that allows constitutional carry doesn't mean that you don't live in a district that doesn't have a Soros-appointed a district attorney who is more than willing to put you through the ringer.
Most police officers in America are college trained and therefore indoctrinated to believe the state is the source of authority, not the people.
Right. 100%, Joe. All right, let's get into the last video of the day there, watcher. Lily Tang, I love her channel.
Half of Medicaid's $18 billion claims paid to Minnesota programs could be fraudulent. Prosecutors charged 5 people in a Minnesota housing fraud scheme today. First Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson claims 2 defendants pocketed $750,000 to travel to international destinations instead of helping Medicaid recipients find stable housing.
Half of $18 billion in Medicare claim payouts in Minnesota are likely fraudulent.
For those of you with public school educations, that's $9 billion, probably more. I guess if you don't bring drugs to the country, if you don't do drive-by shootings and things like that, nobody cares. Which is exactly why nobody has gone after the Somali. Oh, wait a second! It couldn't have anything to do with the political leadership of Minnesota was protecting them the whole time.
I find it ridiculous that y'all believe Africans are involved in any way with fraud.
The only thing that surprises me is that the Nigerian prince didn't drop a dime on the Somali dukes that were doing.
Hey, I would be shocked that didn't happen because Nigerians, West Africans, and East Africans not friends. They are not friends.
Let's see. It's confirmed that a homeless man blew the Brown University case wide open through a Reddit post.
A homeless man posting on Reddit.
I mean that is actually.
There's your Mossad agent right there.
Yeah, Watcher. There's the link to what I was just reading. It's a Fox News clip if you want to play it.
Sure. I mean, it's 3 minutes, but sure.
I still don't believe it because government bureaucracies don't work that fast.
And by the way, Matt is still continuing to crank out bangers under the conveniently found dead, huh? 48 years old.
Yeah.
Find the most prominent conservative on campus, not after being on campus for a long time.
John. Now, investigators say that he's a former Brown University student who grew suspicious of the gunman when he locked eyes with him in the bathroom just 2 hours before the shooting inside the Barris and Holly building. The gunman, his name is Claudio Neves Valente. Now, John, pictured here, is the man police were looking to speak to because of how close he got to that gunman. John said he followed Neves Valente out of the building before the shooting and played a game of cat and mouse in the neighborhood. Surveillance video shows Neves Valente running away from John. At one point, he stood just feet away from the gunman and questioned why he was circling the block. The gunman repeatedly responded, quote, "Why are you harassing me?" When police released images of the suspect after the shooting, John wrote an anonymous Reddit post describing seeing the gunman unlock a parked gray Nissan sedan with Florida plates he thought could be a rental. 3 days after the shooting, John anonymously called the police tip line and flagged his own Reddit post. On Wednesday, John walked up to police, revealed that he was the man police were looking for, that he was close to the gunman, and that the Reddit post came from him. Police used license plate readers to track the gray Nissan to an Alamo car rental center in Boston. They pulled surveillance images showing Neves Valente, and they traced him to a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, where he was found at night. Now, Neves Valente was spotted in the Brown University building on November 28th. That's 2 weeks before the shooting. Last night, I asked investigators how it could be that a homeless man and not police noticed a suspicious person in that time.
The Providence Police is obviously not going to patrol Barris and Holly. That's a question frankly, for Brown and their police department.
Why would a civilian observe that to be suspicious? It's a great point. And I like the fact that you're mentioning that and bringing that up. That's what we should all be doing, right? And it's just personality. Some people are more interested in finding out what others are doing. In this particular case, this person decided that he wanted to, and I'm glad he did.
Chief, where are you from? And what are the dudes for the Lollipop Guild? But
wait, isn't this this is the Providence Police Chief, not
Providence
the Brown
Police Chief? So
the Brown
here's
Police Chief who had been fired from a different job.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. He's actually acting dumbfounded and astounded that this information has come to light. You know what? You're right. That's probably what we should have police for. Maybe we should be looking for this kind of stuff. It's just the guy is a clown. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Gentlemen, that's all I got for today. I mean, on that bombshell, it's time to end. Joe, going into the weekend, you think we let me ask you a question. Venezuela before or after Christmas?
Probably right around it.
I'm inclined to say after, based on the federal holiday, the Christmas Eve and day after Christmas federal holiday news.
Well, I want to point one thing out. First of all, that's a great time to do it because no one's around to report on it. But we've said all along that Maduro is on his Noriega arc, right?
Yeah.
Well, I remember December 19th, all those years ago, when we were put onto our alert status at about 8 p.m. and we hit the Panamanians at 1:45. It was supposed to be midnight, but we had to go earlier thanks to the Army. But at 23:45 on December 19th, the Noriega's last days began. So I just want to point that historical significance out. That could mean something could happen as early as tonight. We'll see.
I was on a midnight skiing trip that night. That's how I heard about it, because it was on the AM news, was carrying like updates about it live. So
that's
where I was.
Sounds like a good way to. That sounds like a good way to listen to that news. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah. It was. Let's see. I can't remember the name of the. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It was one of the first things that was covered almost live on American TV.
Yeah.
Durna, well done, by the way. Durna's chat there. The suspect cannot explain, even though he has explaining to do. That one is good.
I thought it was yeah. I like the second one though too. Missouri.
Arno's the police chief.
He's responding to this, of course. I love it. All right, Watcher, what's your take on the world going into this weekend before Christmas?
I think it's going to happen before Christmas, but I could be wrong. I think Trump thinks it's going to be over fast, and honestly, I wish I should drop it somewhere. There's pretty interesting simulations that take into account the equipment and the equipment's capabilities and relative training levels and all that kind of stuff that have been run that does say, yeah, it would actually be pretty fast.
Yeah, I think the thing that'll surprise people is that despite the fairly high-end stuff that Russia has rushed into service over there,
none of it.
I think it'll go through. No. I think it'll go through. They'll go through Venezuela like shit.
Or it's put in the hands of Venezuelans. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I bet there's Russian contract guys at least sitting next to.
Here I'll at least pull this up while I'm going to talk about it, just as a visual in the background. But no, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I know that we make fun of the flying router all the time, but actually when you watch something like this, you really start to see exactly what they're talking about and why it's a huge deal. Like these hundreds of missiles that are coming in that would normally be using their own kind of poor guidance systems. Now suddenly they have an F-35 sitting 20 miles off of the target, constantly lasering it. It's pretty impressive. By the way, that's the single projected shoot down. And when the guy gets into the numbers, he's like, well, I mean, I guess you could call that like an unforced error, but like essentially the only reason this ever gets shot down is because a Growler's jamming got burned through in a way that it probably shouldn't have.
So in my day job, I had an opportunity to speak to a guy who had been in the Air Force for about 15 years, and his most recent flying job was F-35s. And I kind of like joked with him about, I was like, it's great when you can keep it in the air, right? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it is not the
It's
most
a pig.
reliable.
No.
He said it's not the most reliable airframe we have. He said, but then again, all the ones that are very reliable are also 40 years old. He's like, so we figured those out. And I was like, okay, that's fair. And I said, so how is it on performance? I mean, without any specifics. He said, I wouldn't want to be in anything else in a modern battlefield outside of maybe an F-22. But the F-22 is a completely different job and mission set.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, listen, he's like, I've seen it in real world situations. I've seen it in training, and there's nothing else like it. And he said that the sensor fusion and all that kind of stuff kind of sets it apart. And so there is a narrative that is counter to what we've kind of talked about here on the show, that says that this is there's more to this platform than we've given it credit for. But let's be honest. I think the big differentiator that I will always go back to is not the equipment, but it's the actual men in the seats that we have of these American platforms. They're the best trained and the best resourced warfighters in the world. And ultimately, it's the individuals who win the war, not the. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure everybody knows what they're seeing on screen here, because this is about to be this is basically the sped up version of the whole thing. This first wave is all of our older it's all of our Gen 4 Tomahawks, and they're basically being expended sacrificially. They don't expect very many of them to get hits, and even if they do, they don't expect the hits to matter. Mostly what they're doing is forcing the enemy radar to light up, which is when this entire wave of AGMs and JASMs it just absolutely annihilates everything.
Yeah, Tomahawk, which is slow and not stealthy for a cruise missile, versus JASM, which is faster, not supersonic, I don't think, but it is relatively stealthy.
Yeah, and then the Block 5 Tomahawks, which come screaming in at Mach 3. So,
and they all have targeting packages that allow anti-radiation models, right? The minute they light up, it homes in on the radar.
So this is what I was talking about. So that F-22 or that F-35 right there just guided literally every one of those missiles onto target with increasing accuracy. I don't know. Given some of these projections, I kind of wonder if maybe Trump is thinking, hey, in and out, get them before Christmas. They are going to do a big announcement at 1, although given how crazy all the announcements have been, and I have to eat a little bit of crow here. I was wrong. Trump, in my opinion, Trump did the exact right thing. Maybe the speech could have been better, but he didn't do any of the things that I was afraid he was going to do. He focused entirely domestically, which means that he's still listening.
Jay Clark's got it in 1 here, so they're spraying JASMs. I mean, when you're right, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just common sense at this point.
If it was bad news, they'd wait till the market closes. I think you're right about that. I think they're expecting a pop in the market today. So. Yeah,
Trump's speech wasn't just rambling. Like, I'm sorry, you really should listen to it, because I have a couple of times now. I mean, was he as eloquent as he could have been? No, I don't think he addressed many of the topics.
Nobody's ever accused Trump of being the most eloquent speaker, but he always says exactly what he wants to say, and he's very deliberate.
And listen, if you're surprised that Donald Trump got out there and talked about how great Donald Trump was, you haven't been paying attention.
Right?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly right.
But the fact that he chose to focus domestically instead of, I didn't once hear him talk about, look at all these peace deals I've made. No, we're about to kick Venezuela's ass, and no, none of that. It was.
He did reference the 8 peace deals, and at which time, because I was watching it with a buddy at work, at which time I turned to him and said, I guess that's 8 that he made, but not 8 that held with Cambodia.
Look, man, I made him. It doesn't matter. Just because you screwed it up afterwards, I still made the peace deal.
Who's my favorite president of all time? Quite frankly, I am.
All right, guys. Anything else before the weekend? Looking forward to. Hey, I'll be honest with you. Two big things for me was the Warrior Den. I think that was great. Basically, a Christmas bonus for all the active duty service members out there. Now, like for somebody like me who's been in the Army for more than a few years, it's not a big. But if you are a private E1 and you get $1,900 or $1,776.
Did you see a video somebody made of a lot full of Dodge Chargers, and it said the Bullets parking lot the day after the dividend?
And let me tell you, those checks are already in soldiers' bank accounts.
Oh yeah, no. I heard somebody say, like, do you hear
clear?
that
It's
sound?
cleared the bank already. Yeah. So
somebody said, do you hear that sound? That's the sound of millions of privates' bank accounts emptying at the same time.
Yeah. OnlyFans is going to have a bumper weekend, I'm sure, too.
Talk about stimulating the economy, right?
I mean, and it's exactly the people you want to stimulate.
It's really good of Donald Trump to make sure that the strippers are able to give their kids a good Christmas.
Just gonna say, thank you.
I did share with both of you the is this a real UMC US manual?
Yeah, like I said, like can you order it from the depot? No. Is it real? Oh, you bet your sweet ass it's real.
It was, what was it, the one about marrying the problems,
marital relations with
with exotic dancers. Yeah, that I don't want to mention that.
I will say though that is generally a corporal taught class.
Yes,
it's not usually an individual study.
Listen here, PFC. She doesn't really love you.
Listen, hey, this is Andy No post. 4 illegal Mexican nationals living in Oregon have been federally charged for allegedly repeatedly lying on firearms purchase forms that they were U.S. citizens. The group had stockpiled 173 firearms. Oregon Democrat lawmakers and leftists have been doing everything that they can, including supporting violence to keep illegal foreign nationals in state. Far left extremists have urged the killing of ICE agents and have repeatedly attacked ICE facilities. You know what? I don't think that's for an attack, though, in the U.S. I think they're tooling up the cartels, what they're doing.
It could be. I wanted to point out as we're wrapping up here, Border Patrol and Montana Highway Patrol just did a 5-day operation on I-90 along the border that netted 51 arrests. 41 were immigration violations and human trafficking violations. The other 10 were all drug related. So well done, U.S. Border Patrol and Montana Highway Patrol. They rescued a whole bunch of children too that were being trafficked. So pretty amazing.
That's one of the unsung stories of this whole thing has been how many children have been recovered in these ICE raids. Completely overshadowed by the leftist carping about it's not fair. My last little news nugget here is the Secretary of the Navy, I think, is finally getting their act together, and they have decided to basically turn the Legend class cutter into a gray hull. Joe, I don't know if you heard what I just said. They're gonna the new frigate. They canceled the frigate program, and the new frigate is going to be the Legend class cutter in a Navy version of that.
Hold on. You're bearing the lead. You're bearing the lead because when that got announced, he called it the Golden Fleet.
I love it.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's how you get Trump to like it, as you call it something golden or something. I love gold.
I love it. Oh.
So anyway, I get the feeling that the Department of War is getting its act together. We shall see. We've heard great announcements in the past, and only for these civilian bureaucrats to fuck it up. So we'll see if they continue that or. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thank you very much for sticking around with us, chat. You guys were awesome. By the way, I wanted to just recognize real quick, Loki LARP gifted 5 subs, like right at the beginning of the show. So oh shit, Peter Shea, you even had a Rumble rant for $1 that I didn't see. Oh, come on, you didn't have enough time to have the AI pop in waterboarding table for the thumbnail. Well, the guy wasn't waterboarded. He was shot and killed in his storage container, and so we thought it appropriate. So thank you for appreciating the AI art mastery that we put together for today's thumbnail. I'm just going to leave that there as a closeout today. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Monday. I think, let's see, Monday, Wednesday, and probably what do you guys, you want to take off Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas?
Let's play it by ear and see what the world looks like.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And then maybe we'll work in because I'll be off, into going, those 2 days going into the weekend. And so maybe we work in a morning time show for me with a nighttime for you guys, and we'll do something fun.
Yeah, I'd be real good with that.
Yeah. All right. We'll do like a CFC Christmas party or something. And we can just... Maybe we'll invite people from the... we've got the fan chat that we can drop the link in the fan chat and bring some of the fans in to chat with us. What could go wrong there?
It's never gone wrong before.
I mean, I'm just saying. All right, guys. We'll be back on Monday for sure, and
expanding our vocabulary with viewer chats.
Exactly right. Maybe we'll do Rumble only if we do that. All right, guys. That's all I got. Thank you for being here. We'll be back on Monday, and until then, stay safe.